Hello everyone. So there's a few people I know that are coming in. This is Rebecca Jane Warrington. If you haven't met me, I spoke a week ago. If you perchance had not had a chance to hear me speak last week, Jody, I think, sent out the YouTube video, the link, and that's for you forever. So you can always go back and revisit, which is the beauty of recording. And she'll probably send it out again. This will also be recorded, so when you go into the YouTube, you'll be able to then watch the talk if you wish, or you can go to the next, to the other video, which will be this one and next week's. Again, something you'll have forever. Thank you again for coming back, or this might be your first time. Because of last week, we decided first to do the talk on explaining this whole idea of negative thinking and self-compassion, and I suggested that we have two mindful sessions afterwards, because you get information, you leave feeling excited and maybe you're charged, and you have all this new information, and then you don't know what to do. What do I do with it? How do I cope with my negative thinking? How can I minimize it? So back to the idea of the metaphor of the wolves. If you missed that, you can look at that on the previous recording of the talk, but it's a American Indian, Native American legend where we all have two wolves and in our hearts. And one wolf is the angry, negative wolf. Not always angry. It might be an anxious wolf. It might be a jealous wolf. It might be a very sad wolf, a depressed wolf. And then the other wolf is a more buoyant and is calm and gentle and kind. And that's the one that we want to spend more time with. And what happens based on our human brain, but also through evolution, we hold on naturally to negative memories, negative experiences. So that's the beauty of that is, as I said before, is that it's not your fault. We all are in this together. We're all struggling with this thinking. So what do you do with it? So we have this negative thinking, and why now that we're now millions of years later, ahead of the game, we don't have to worry about survival anymore. So now what we're doing is, why do we still hold on to negative memories, negative thoughts? Partly it's childhood, it's because of our childhood memories. Most of our thoughts are based on our childhood. They come from the childhood experiences. And I won't go into depth about that. Another reason is we like to be in control. I don't know if you like me, I like to be in control. And what that means is, if the whole idea of feeling helpless doesn't feel good to me. So I problem solve, and I try and make sure things are going to work out the way they should work out. But that's an illusion. So that's another reason why we hold on. We worry about we create worries that are unnecessary. And we also like certainty. So certainty means that, for instance, the end of lockdown, there's more certainty now. We know that there seems to be an end in sight, but there's still not 100% certainty with that either. So it's really an interesting concept of how we as humans like to be in control. If you wouldn't mind turning off the mic, thank you. So, mic's turned off, yeah.
Could everyone just make sure you're muted and your video's off, please?
Okay, if you could, yeah. Okay, so what we're going to do in this meditation, it's a mindful meditation. It's called letting go, and it's basically yes.
Sorry, we've lost you and you're muted.
Oh, I'm muted. How was I muted? I haven't touched it. Oh.
I think someone may have muted off.
Somebody must have. Unmuting, is I'm back on? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Oh, that was something out of the blue. I didn't touch it, but anyway. Okay, so I'm back again. We're going to go right into our meditation. It's called letting go. And I'm sitting on my cushion just because this is where I spend a lot of my time. But you don't need to be on a cushion. You can sit on a chair. And make sure your feet are flat on the ground. And that's either your eyes are closed or you can look to the ground with a soft gaze and hands resting on your thighs. I hope I'm still up. Okay, so let's close the eyes or look to the ground with a soft gaze. And let's begin our meditation. And our meditation is called letting go of thoughts and letting go of anxiety. Anxiety is often related to rumination, which is that obsessive thinking. And when we meditate or we take a moment just to be mindful, it soothes our anxiety by teaching us how to teaches us how to distance ourselves from our thoughts. And remember, we don't have to believe everything we think. Our thoughts are just thoughts, and this is what you're going to learn, how to distance yourselves. So sitting up nice and tall, finding that tall spine. And just take a few moments and observe your breath. Simply by watching the breath flow in through the nose and fill your belly. And then as you exhale, draw the tummy muscles in. And let's take another breath in. And then exhale, draw the tummy muscles in. Calming the nervous system and helping you to become present. So you're no longer thinking. You might still be thinking, but when you breathe, immediately you distance yourself from your thoughts. And begin to soften your shoulders and your belly and your thighs. And watch the breath with that sense of loving awareness. This is about awareness, self-awareness, noticing the breath as it begins to relax you, bring you a sense of a little bit of peace at this point. And feel the gentle rise and fall of the belly and the body as the body breathes itself. And let yourself move into a state of being and away from a state of doing. So being is when you're focusing on the breath. You're not thinking about what happens next or what happened before. You're just here. So give yourself this moment to just experience what it's like to be right here, right now. Just present with the breath. Now remember, no matter what, your mind will wander off. And thoughts will still arise. But the mind is energy and always at play. So I want you to observe the thoughts when they do arise. And notice them just as if you're watching from a distance. You're watching them on a movie screen. Or you're sitting at a cafe and you notice the thought. It's just like watching people walk by. You see them, but you're not engaging with them. You are not your thoughts, you're only witnessing them. So whether they're positive thoughts or negative thoughts, any thought, we're now just imagining them as if you're watching them, and they're not a part of you. It might help you to visualize the thoughts as clouds or bubbles. A thought arises and it floats up into your awareness. And then if left alone, it will soon just float away or burst or just dissipate. It's when we cling onto it, we grasp onto it, is when that's the holding on. That's feeding that negative wolf. Stay anchored in your breath. And as you play with awareness, so playing with the awareness of the thoughts being either bubbles or clouds, and keep bringing your awareness back to that, using the breath as your anchor. That brings you back to the present moment. And like clouds and like bubbles, understand that these thoughts are not solid and they're not fixed. They come and they go. And the same thing with the emotions. When you feel a certain way, they take shape and they break apart. As they continuously change in shape, blown by the wind, and they come and they go. So for a few moments, observe your thoughts, observe the emotions that are coming up for you, no matter what they are. And just place them on a cloud or in a bubble. We cannot grasp a cloud or a bubble. And neither is there any point in grasping to your thoughts. So let them be. So before we let go, let them be. So when we feed the wolf, we actually grasp onto we try and grasp onto the thoughts. But you're not able to, because there's nothing tangible to hang on to. They're just a thought. So the first step is to pay attention, observe, and acknowledge the thought. Okay, I see that thought. And then just let it be what it is. And let's continue to remain aware of the breath. as the thoughts do their thing. So for the next few moments, watch the breath as it rises and falls. You don't have to do anything dramatic. You don't have to force the breath. Just watch it as you let the thoughts circle around. Just like clouds, bubbles. So that awareness of the breath brings you right into the present moment. And by coming and being in the present moment, you can become aware of your thoughts. Awareness without doing anything about it, without trying to control them or feel certain that things are going to be okay. So when we worry, it's a wasted time. So when you have a worry, let it be a worry. Just give it the label worry. And then imagine it floating away. Avoid chasing, following, or attaching to a thought. And avoid trying to stop thoughts or pushing them away. Let them just be what they are, thoughts. How we feed our wolf, angry wolf, is by doing all those things. By chasing, following, attaching. And even trying to avoid the thoughts, stopping them. We give them fuel. So remaining aware of the breath and the state of being and not doing. Just being in this moment with your breath. Aware of thoughts, but not thinking. Breathing in and breathing out. And notice a thought you might have that keeps lingering around, or an emotion that is lingering. One of those negative wolf thoughts. And you'll know it because it stands out. It's the first thing that pops into your head. And whatever that is, and I say emotion and or thought because they both go together. And by noticing it, I want you to use this new way of approaching thoughts and emotions by observing it from a distance. So you can even just place that thought or that emotion onto a cloud or into a bubble, maybe even a balloon if that helps. And take a moment and you keep anchoring with your breath. Keep letting the breath flow in and out. And observe that thought or emotion from a distance as if you barely see it. Maybe it's quite prominent right now. It's right directly in front of you. And every time you breathe in and out, that thought or emotion starts to move further away. Just like a bubble would float or a cloud would float. And you might feel some resistance inside. You might find it really difficult to let go or to let it be rather than doing something about it or fueling it. See what it feels like with that one thing that really stands out. And then continue to breathe in and out, feeling the relaxing rhythm of the breath, how it naturally soothes this experience. So even with a thought that is not, it's as disturbing or upsetting or whatever it might, maybe it's really sad. And how we can continue to have a thought without letting our bodies become entangled in it. That we can be relaxed and in the present moment while still having a thought. The body no longer has to go into fight or flight. It's right here in a calming state, sitting with this thought. And once, then begin to let that thought or emotion go. Watch the bubble burst or float away, or the cloud float away, just as clouds do. And there's no grasping for it because your hands couldn't grasp a bubble or a cloud. And let it float further and further away as you watch it go. And as you're doing this, you're feeling calm and relaxed, that this is okay. I don't really need this. It's not helping me. It doesn't make me feel good. Allowing your thoughts to shift and change and flow. Nothing to fight against, nothing to stop. They're just energy. You can't see them. And accept them and love your thoughts at the same time. That those thoughts were there for a purpose. We needed them at some point in our lives. So by accepting and loving them, there's no fight, there's no resistance. We can then let them go easily. And let's continue to remain present with your breath, just for a few more moments. Breathing in and breathing out. And noticing after, with the exhalation, how calm you feel. And maybe there's a weight that's dropped from your shoulders. Begin to look upon your thoughts with curiosity and awe, rather than as the bad, bad wolf. Because once, by perceiving them in that way, the good wolf gets fed. Curiosity and awe are part of the positive, kind, loving wolf. And again, anchoring back to the breath. The awareness of the breath is what brings you into the present moment. So you can actually see your thoughts as they are, and then let them go. The mind is energy, and energy is always at play. It is up to you to choose which type of energy you'd like to invite in. And the energy you don't want, let it go. And how we let it go is through the concept of acceptance. Yeah, I have this thought. I have this worry. I have this concern. But it's just a thought. It's just a concern. It's just a worry. And I'm going to let it go. I'm going to watch it. So as we begin to complete the practice, this mindfulness practice on starving the angry wolf, starving the negative wolf, by simply actually embracing it, by saying, you know what, you're okay. You've done your job. You're here. But I don't need most of this anymore. And you begin to do it piece by piece, not all at once. Every time you have a thought that is troublesome, and you see it through awareness, you see it. Use this visualization as the bubble, the cloud, as a way to kind of watch it and then let it go. The grasping onto the thoughts is what keeps us feeding that wolf. And by not feeding that wolf, the other wolf gets food. We'll never get rid of negative thoughts completely, but we want more of the other wolf, or at least an equality between the two. So let's come back to our seat, come back to our room. Keep our eyes closed just for a moment. And feel the seat underneath you. Listen, use your hearing to hear whatever you're hearing in the room around you. The air that's surrounding your body. So we use touch to bring us back into the room, but also out as we transition out of our meditation. And let's drop our chin towards our chest and let our eyes gently open. Keep your gaze downward if it isn't already. And just take a moment here, and I want you to feel into your body as it is right now. This is such a simple thing. Keep coming back to the breath every time you start to feel like you're losing control, or you're feeling uptight, angry, upset. And then when you're ready, lift your eyes up. And then look around for a moment. And then I always bring my hands in front of my heart. You don't have to do this, just to wish you well. And thank you so much for joining me for this session 1 of 2. And next week, I will be doing a meditation on loving kindness. And this is feeding the loving, kind, gentle wolf. Namaste, everyone. Thank you.